Hi there. So I get a lot of questions on what to look for when you're buying a used vehicle. And you may have seen this truck in some of my other videos. I really like these 90s Chevys and GMC trucks. So I thought I'd go over some of the stuff I look for. This is my 9th or 10th or 8th one I've bought of these. My 43rd vehicle overall. And so I get a lot of calls from people asking what to look for, and obviously it depends on what brand you're buying, and car, truck, or SUV or whatever, what year. But I thought I could go through this one. When I go to buy these, some of the stuff I look for right away is, and kind of expect to see, is these handles tend to break loose, and they still function and open, but they wiggle all around. This one isn't doing it, but a lot of people think that that's bad, it's expensive. It's really cheap to fix. They're like 15 bucks to get a new handle. It's kind of a pain, but it's something that if you see when you go to the truck and it's wiggly or something, you can use that to get the price down. Say, man, the handle's broken, it's a pain in the butt to fix. A couple $100 off, when really it's only $15, and some time, of course. But so don't be afraid of it, but something to be aware of. As you open the door, the hinge pins on these trucks tend to wear out, and that's this guy right here. This one's white, so you can pretty much guess, unless someone painted it, which would be rare, that this is a stock hinge pin. Those hinge pins will groove and wear out because the doors are very heavy on these old trucks. And you know when they're wore out, and that also will start to wear out other stuff, but you know it's wore out because when you go to shut it, it doesn't shut very easily. This one shuts really easily. And what I mean by easily is it closes all the way. A lot of trucks, if it's worn out, it'll only go partial, and even if you have to slam it really hard, because the door is actually sunk down, so as it's closing, it's smacking right there on the bottom. And that's another sign too, is you'll see all this paint wore off because it's hitting and lifting the door up to close. Again, this door's not doing it. On these 90s pickups in the 90s era, these will sometimes break off. This one has broken off. Something else to look for, I don't like when something isn't stock, but this one I made an exception. They've put there's usually a tuner right here or a cassette tape deck. This is where the stock radio generally goes. You can buy these cubbies, an aftermarket cubby, and what that is you take the stock radio out, you put a new radio or CD player or MP3 player or Bluetooth or whatever in there, and then you can just use this separate hole as a cubby. That's what someone has done to this truck. They ran it out here, they ran the power cord, you can see it here, and then they took it out. So because I was looking for a work truck, I don't care, and the price was right, but that's something I look for, is overall, is there a bunch of aftermarket modifications, or is it stock? I generally like stock. Another thing that happens on these is the glove box breaks. So this one is broken, the latch is broke. That's really common. Thankfully the hinge hasn't broken yet, and that's another common area, is the hinges break. So I figured it does stay open, it doesn't latch, but the hinge isn't broke, so that's nice. There's that handle I was showing you, so those do get ripped off. That's just something that happens on these. Overall though, clean truck. The ceiling will fall down, and this one hasn't. It's still tight and adhered up to the top, so that's pretty good and normal. This stuff tends to go out on these. You know, you'll get some kind of short here. This is your cruise control, your wipers. Sometimes the wipers don't work, or you try to use your cruise control and the wipers will turn off and on. So that's something to test on these. Your headlights. A lot of the time on these trucks, a headlight switch will short out, and when you turn it on, your dash lights will turn on, and then as you hit a bump, the dash lights flicker. It's something to do with the switch, so it's not bad. Over the years, these will tend to go out, switches will go out. Just check them when you take a look at stuff. And I mean, this truck, the guy was in a hurry to sell it. He was moving, and I got it for $1,000 bucks. So I overlooked a whole bunch of stuff that I normally wouldn't overlook. Something that's awesome about these trucks is it has the manual four-wheel drive, because in the later years, I don't remember when it started, but I know like in 97s, 98s, stuff like that, it's a push-button four-wheel drive. Here, I believe, or it might actually be over here in those years. And when the button goes out, you can't go in four-wheel drive, so that's annoying. Although convenient, the button's cool, but I think it's nice to have the lever down there. Something to look for too, one of my buddies bought one of these trucks that they punched this hole out here, and they bought a four-wheel drive button and just snapped it in there, and it was a two-wheel drive truck. So he bought a truck, took it home, thought it was four-wheel drive, went to use it when he was stuck, wasn't four-wheel drive. So test the four-wheel drive, test everything, because stuff's interchangeable and it happens, which is annoying. Head over here. So this has the typical Chevy peeling, which I hate. I hate it. I hate it. And this is my 9th Chevy truck like this, I believe, 8 or 9. I never buy them like this, but because I just needed something to haul trailers and the price was right, I overlooked a lot. Besides that, the truck's actually pretty clean. So air intake is off. As far as the box here, there's usually a connection that goes to the firewall, and it's not there. This is kind of a redneck Chevy thing to do. You like to turn the tops over. He'd already done that. Not advisable when it's real dusty conditions, but for most city / normal conditions, it's not a big deal. Gives a little bit of extra horsepower because it allows air more freely to the engine. Still got to clean it up in here. I look at just overall oil condition and everything. Not bad for the year. I've seen dirtier engines. I haven't cleaned any of this yet. Stuff to check is when you turn the motor on, if any of these idler pulleys down here or any of these bearings and any of these pulleys are going out, you'll see movement when it's running. It'll kind of rock back and forth. They're not that expensive to change, but it's just something to look at when you're looking at buying one of these. Check out the oil. Smell the tranny fluid. It'll smell burnt, and if you're like, I don't know if it smells burnt, that probably means it's not burnt. Because the times I've smelled burnt tranny fluid, it's pretty apparent. It just smells burnt. So, something else to look at that I've learned over the years is pop this off. If this is out or low, it's totally normal. These things tend to burn a tiny bit of coolant. I don't know where it goes. Either finite leaks in the radiator or something. But it's really common on these, and there's no problem with the truck over the course of a few months for it to real slowly lose a little bit of this fluid. It never drips, never leaks, never see it, but it happens. So anyway, what I like to do though is take a peek inside. It should look like that. That's clean, it's red. If you see a brown ring, that means someone has used some kind of stop leak, or there's possibly oil in the coolant, which is a head gasket. So take a look at the coolant. That tells you a lot of information. This coolant looks good, and more importantly than the coolant looking good, the tank looks clean on the inside. I don't see any crap in there or a dirty ring. If it's cool, you can take this off and take a look. It looks the same as that coolant though, I can tell you. So that's kind of what I look for here. Those are real common issues that you see on these trucks. These trucks are freaking clean overall, and so they're a good bet. The other thing I stick with is the 5.7 liter. It's just your standard 350 or whatever that comes in these. They do come in some other sizes. They come in a big block. They come in a smaller V8, I believe it is. I don't have any experience in those, and so I just stay away from them. If it was the right price, I would buy it, but by and large, I stick with the 5.7 liters because there's a ton of them and they're easy to work on. This has factory air conditioner. That's another thing to check actually, is, you know, is the air conditioner working? Is it charged? A lot of guys will say, oh, it just needs to be charged. And that's just not the case. If something has gone bad in here, it can throw metal particles throughout your whole system. So I don't know if this air conditioner works. I really don't care because of the price and what I'm going to use the vehicle for. But if it mattered to me, don't just buy the line that, oh, it just needs to be charged, because it's not the case. Coolant does not leak out slowly. If it's leaked, there's generally a leak when it's very high pressure. So if it has developed a leak, it'll probably just leak out again. It's not something that, you know, it's not like, oh, every 10 years you fill it up. So if it's not working, just, it's a red flag. Just be aware of it. That's pretty much it. These trucks are sweet. Other common problems, though, you'll see with them, along with the door handles, I talked about that. Oftentimes, really often, this tailgate latch moves around like crazy. The whole housing will move around. And usually, what it is, see those two bars that pull together when you lift it? Those, the little wire that hooks on, will snap off. And so sometimes you'll lift it up and you can't get the tailgate to open. You have to reach in and squeeze those bars together. That's really common. This truck must not have been used very much because it opens really, really easily. It's probably the easiest open tailgate I've ever seen on one of these. But so if you see that, it doesn't mean the truck has been abused. It's pretty common if that has broke, and it shouldn't scare you off. Another thing I look at is how beat up is the back bumper, because if this is all beat up, or if there's a bunch of dings and smashes along here, like here's just a couple right here, pretty minimal, that means they pulled a lot of trailers. Typically when guys are pulling trailers, they're hooking them up alone and they back up too far and smash into stuff. So if you're seeing dings and smashes along here, that could mean, you know, it's pulled a lot of trailers. What does that mean? Well, it could mean that the tranny's wore out, the engine's wore out. You know, sure, it has 100,000 miles, but if the bumper's all beat up, it could have been 100,000 really hard miles. So these are all things to kind of look for. Another thing to look at is just your common sense. Where is the truck? You know, why are they selling it? Is it, you know, they say, oh, they just wanted to upgrade. Well, okay, what did they upgrade to? You know, what does it look like? Is it a sweet new Chevy sitting in the driveway? To me, that's a good sign. That means they truly just wanted to upgrade, usually. Is it a similar year, similar body style truck? They only upgraded a year or two? That probably means there's something about the truck that they hated enough that they got rid of and got another one of the same trucks. So just kind of use your common sense. I think buying a car half the time is your gut instinct. What does it feel like? You know, does it just feel greasy? Does the situation feel crappy? Listen to how the guy's talking. I feel like the people that say things like, I wouldn't lie to you, or they kind of bring up this truthful aspect in their conversation. To me, that's like the guys that are lying the most. Normal people in normal conversation, for the most part, don't walk around saying, you know, I wouldn't lie to you, or whatever. They just say the truth. They don't even cross their mind. So just kind of listen to all of that. And then when you're negotiating, say things like, how much are you asking for it again? And then whatever they say, oh, $1,000. Just stand there and take a few deep breaths and wait 30 seconds. Wait a minute. It feels like forever. Whoever talks first loses. If you talk first, that means you lost. You're probably going to pay the $1,000 or $1,500, $2,000. If they talk first, they're probably going to drop it a little bit. If you just wait, it's awkward. They'll probably say something like, but I could go down to $800. I could go down to $900. And even if you're ready to pay $1,000, it's a way to save a couple $100 extra dollars. So those are some things I look for on these trucks. They're good rigs, and I recommend them. One other thing to look for, I'll just mention, is this one has like a camper shell. Now, I don't want this stupid thing I don't want a camper shell, but it's fantastic if it has ones, because I can sell that for $300-400. and now my truck costs $600. So look for those little add-ons that might just come with it. They might throw a pair of winter tires in or something, an extra set of rims that you can part out, sell it on Craigslist, and all of a sudden your truck that was $2,000, you recouped $800, and now, you know, it's $1,200. So look for things like that.